podcast land. This is your host, Severin Henderson, back again for another episode of Department 3C Presents, a podcast connected to fire. Before we get into the episode for full and the start and all that other good stuff, today was supposed to be an engineer episode, kind of fire engineers. I had a bunch of guys I invited to come through and talk about I don't want to call them struggles, but just their experiences being an engineer on the Chicago Fire Department. But I only shot at a 25% clip, so in some worlds that closing rate would be good. In this situation, not so much. Like I always say, trying to wrangle podcast guests is like trying to wrangle stray cats. It's like you want to give them kibble, you want to offer them milk. I offered these dudes something to eat, offered them drinks, and they still just looked at me like, meow, and just kept going. So we have a guest that we had before, came back again. We have Darrell Payne. I think you were an engineer the last time you were on the show. Is that correct?
I believe, I'm pretty sure I was.
We could have looked and did our little bit of homework to find out. But
yeah, I should remember when I got made engineer, but like I say, it's a haze today.
It's a haze. Okay. So what we are going to do today is kind of switch it up a little bit of what we were going to talk about, and we're going to talk about different stuff. We still going to do the engineer talk. You're going to tell me what it's like being an engineer on the Chicago Fire Department, all that other good stuff. And then the second part of this episode, we're going to talk about entrepreneurial journeys. I know that first time you were on the show, we were interviewing you when we talked about your real estate endeavors and everything else. Well, this time, you're going to talk to me about all the stuff I got my hands in.
That's right.
But at the same time, we still going to talk about you. It's all about the guest here. And in addition to that, me and you spoke another time. You thinking about starting a podcast with your son. So
yes,
this is kind of getting your feet wet, getting your chops up, getting all that good stuff together so you can pursue that venture if that's what you choose to do. So
sounds good.
With all of that being said in the intro, DP, how are you today, sir?
I am awesome. I have no complaints. I've been busy as always, constantly moving, constantly running. Nothing changes in that regard. Still don't know how to say no and turn down opportunities, waiting for the next best thing. But it is what it is. Life is good. No complaints.
That's all what we're going to talk about in the second half of the episode. So, DP, just engineer-wise, tell me the difference between being an engineer and being a firefighter here on the Chicago Fire Department.
Okay, so that experience is going to be relative to each and every individual. And for me, I have to put it like this. I am, in my heart, I'm a truck guy with a squad mindset in the engine's body.
In the engine's body,
right?
Or in the engine's role.
In the engine's, as far as being on the engine, a firefighter on the engine's body. So
you mean I'm actual physical body?
Yes, I'm a slender guy. Who like to break shit. And love tools. So when you put all that together, I'm not doing none of that now. Now I just drive. So it's like extremely difficult for me when I first started. But what I've learned, that any opportunity that you have, there's additional opportunities on top of it. And what I've learned watching the fire from the outside, it is so much going on, and you can get learning how to read a building. Firefighters say they read buildings, but in all honesty, they read buildings for 5 seconds and then they go inside or they go to work. So the amount of time they actually have to read is very, very short.
Yeah.
But I'm outside for the entire incident, and it's so different. Like I can honestly see the building will actually talk to me. So with all that being said, as far as how my makeup is as far as being a firefighter, what it's actually training me to do is to be, I think, a pretty decent officer once that opportunity comes around. I see fire differently.
Now, that's something I never thought about that makes total sense as far as what you just said, being an officer and kind of seeing the fire different. That I never thought of it like that. The way our promotions go, I don't even know if I'm ever going to be an officer, but that's neither here nor there.
It's going to happen.
That's a conversation for another podcast, another time. Now, speaking personally for myself, the department I was on before I got here, we didn't have promoted engineers. We just had a rotation. Today is your day to drive. Today is your day to be on the back step. Today is your day to be behind the officer. Everywhere else,
on the box for your medics.
Oh yeah, what did we call them back then? Oh, we called them squads back in Ohio, but squad knob. It wasn't as glorious as it is now. It was a whole different thing.
Wow.
But the thing about it is, as far as pumping fires, I remember I got to pump a fire and it was actually not a bad time. I mean, I got the rig there, I got it in place, I got it in a good position. We had to go to work pretty tough there. So whereas here, we just got a ton of people throwing fires there. Yeah. We only had a few guys. And so guys had to come out, had to change bottles, had to wipe bottles down. Yeah. And our bottle changing process was totally different because we had Scott versus MSA.
Okay.
So it was a little bit different. But I did appreciate getting the opportunity to do more than just go inside all the time. Now, going inside is fun. It's the bee's knees. It's what's up. And another thing you said you got the slender body frame. Most of the good truck guys I know are slender guys. Like my old captain, he's a chief now. He was a slim guy. He was a great truck guy. Guys I work with on my old company, they all the skinny guys. In fact, everybody there was pretty much. I think I was the biggest muscle wise person there.
Okay.
And yeah, they was all pretty good truckers.
That's shocking because I really think of especially great pipe guys being able to maneuver themselves into situations or into positions into locations to best throw water at the seat of the fire.
Yeah.
And I done seen guys go up attic ladders with 2.5-inch lines, and I just couldn't see a real big guy being that successful at doing it that way.
Yeah.
I have a lot of benefits being my size, being on the roof, and that's the one thing that I'm gonna miss the most about being on the truck. I realize now, being an engineer, I would never see roof work again, and that brings a tear to my eye.
Not unless you're teaching. So
unless I'm teaching,
yeah, we can take it back to teaching, and teaching is a gift. When we were at the academy together, and I had an outstanding time there with you. In fact, we were together on a lot of evolutions and everything.
No doubt.
So, I like teaching. Teaching is fun to me. But speaking of being on different positions on the apparatus, when you come to a different city, it's like now it's even different fighting the fire from a squad standpoint, because before I was on a truck. I've never been assigned to an engine. I fought fires on engines here, but I've never been assigned. And funny story, I remember the first time I was detailed to an engine, and what we do here is not what I'm going to do. They take the detail guy and they put him on the hydrant. I disagree with that. I think the detail guy should be second up. Now, I know you don't want to give him the pipe. That's fine. I'm with that. But putting him on the hydrant, that's the most important job. That's the job I want my senior guy to be on. I know, like I said, I don't want to take firefighters pipe time. I know what it's like.
I agree.
And I mean, I'm already out on engines as it is, but that's the only good job. I don't want to take dudes shine. But at the same time, that hydrant job is for real. So they put me on the hydrant, and I hadn't made a hydrant since the academy.
Oh, wow.
And so while I remembered what to do, I almost drowned myself. Because it was cross-threaded and the water was just flying in my face. The guys was laughing at me and pointing at me.
Awesome.
And it was awesome. Good thing it was a nice day outside because it wasn't that bad. But yeah, I almost drowned myself.
So that's the benefit of being an engineer coming from a truck. So I came from truck 24. That was the only single truck in the entire city. It had no engine. We had nothing. So I couldn't even cross the floor and go to an engine.
Right.
So the only time I had to even open a hydrant is when we tested hydrants during the spring.
Okay.
So now, fast forward, now I'm an engineer, and in a high-rise fire, there is no hydrant guy.
Right.
You are the hydrant guy and the engineer and the guy that connects the standpipes until that second engine makes it there.
Mm-hmm.
So all your skills have to come in play when you that guy. It's like, because everybody else is doing something else, especially in high rise. And it's weird. I'm in the 5th district. We don't really specialize in high rises, but as luck would have it,
on the east side,
being at the right house on 72, I ended up with a high rise fire.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. I ended up being second engine. I made sure that first engine got water, so that mean I had to run to the hydrant, and it helps to just know all the job. So I was so blinded by wanting to do truck work. Me being an engineer has really helped me appreciate engine work so much. And I've ran across some awesome pipe guys to the point where they put so much pressure on the engineer. It's amazing.
Okay.
They get off the rig. They have their shoes on their shoulder. They in the building. They done dropped the wire at the door, and they still waiting on you to connect the hose to the back of the engine.
Now, for the layman, explain what the shoes are, please.
So 4 lengths of hose to make 3 horseshoes, and the horseshoes are basically set up so that you can throw them on your shoulder and they flake out or expand out without turning into spaghetti as we run towards the fire.
Okay. Thank you. Like I said, we gotta explain to people who don't
right. I'm talking fire terminology.
About. It's all good. That's at the same time, we do have firefighters that listen to the podcast as well, but we want to explain to everybody who listening to the show.
Fair enough.
And then that's another thing, that different terminology versus different departments. So it's a worldwide show.
That's true.
This is top flight security of the world,
Craig. That's right.
World. So I'm gonna just switch up a little bit of what I do. Usually I just sit and am curious about everything. That's kind of what I do. This time came a little bit more prepared. I got some questions I want to ask. I want to see how you hit them and everything. Now, we're just talking about your Chicago fire career. We're just talking about being an engineer, being a firefighter, being a truck guy, all that other stuff. So,
fair enough.
What's one thing you wish you had known when you began your career?
To protect my time.
Okay.
You get on this job, and one of the biggest benefits is the way our schedule is set up, and you take it for granted at the beginning, and you start second jobs and third jobs and second hobbies and get obligated to a bunch of stuff, and the things that's most important to you kind of get left in the in by the wayside to a degree. So when I first got on the job, I spent so much time with my son and so much time with my niece, so much time with my daughter, just a family as a whole. And I started chasing dollars to a degree, and I started chasing more knowledge when it came to the fire service. And the next thing I know, my time wasn't mine anymore.
Ooh.
So that protecting my time is something I wish I would have been a lot more active in doing in the beginning.
Okay, we're gonna get into that on part 2 with that. So, what's one of your biggest failures in the service, and what do you think you learned from that mistake?
Biggest failures? Wow. It's not that I'm thinking that I'm great. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to talk about.
It's always fun to talk about our successes.
Oh, yeah. I'm just trying to figure out which failure do I talk about.
Okay.
Biggest failure. Okay. Well, because I learned from everything. So, okay. I'm on a truck. I'm driving. I'm the senior guy, and I'm that guy on truck 24 at that time, at that period of time. We catch a fire. Like people expect for me to do what I do on the roof. I take the saw up there. I'm ready to get it. And for some reason, my saw is burning through the roof as opposed to cutting. And I'm like, what's the problem?
You got a lightsaber up there.
Exactly. I'm in there like Luke Skywalker.
There you go.
So I am very ineffective. So what I figured out was my blade was actually, my chain was on backwards.
Okay. Yep.
Now, I'm mad at the guy who did the inventory. So I jump onto the ladder. I'm in the alley. The ladder's in the alley. And as I'm coming down the ladder, it kicks out. Now, the benefit of being a slender, somewhat agile guy allowed me to jump off that ladder back onto the roof before I plummeted down a story and a half. And I took the weight off, and then somebody came and held the ladder, and I went down. I knew I had to get right back on the roof, go back up, yada, yada, yada. So, multiple things from that failure. One is, don't ever get so upset where you lose your focus on what the hell you're doing.
Ooh,
that's one. That's one.
That's life.
Ever.
Thank you.
Never. Two is, take the responsibility. Even though I did have somebody else doing the inventory, that's always my tool. Mm-hmm. So even after he did the inventory and checked it and marked it as good, it was my job to check it. Mm-hmm. So that was major for me. And that was something I had to learn. Because as a senior guy, you'd be like, okay, well, the new guy, you check it, and that's your job. You do the inventory. But any tool that you're responsible for, especially one that you're going to have to use, that it's going to be that tool that's helping you do your job.
Right.
You even if you have to follow up behind that person, you do what you got to do. That was a major lesson to learn.
Very sound advice. I appreciate it.
And the third one, don't jump on a ladder that's on asphalt or concrete unless somebody is healing. Now, this is coming from someone who instructed in ladders at the academy.
Yeah.
So I should know better.
Yes.
But again, lost my focus.
Okay. Keep your focus. Cool, calm, collected. That's part of what Department 3C stands for. So, cool, calm, collected.
That's right.
I need to take that advice myself. And I need to chill out. So, thank you for that. What's some advice that you would give to someone wanting to pursue a career similar to yours? Now, engineer, not talk about firefighter. We gonna skip past firefighter. We do have a test coming up.
Yes, we do.
We're gonna have another episode about that and talk more about all that good stuff. But for now, I'm just talking about straight engineer.
It's difficult to say straight engineer. Just get in the books, and what I mean by that, get yourself familiar with the orders. Of course, if you're looking specifically for engineer, there are certain orders that you will look at. Mm-hmm. There's a specific engineering order. You need to know standard lead outs. You need to know the engineer's manual, the driving manual. Hopefully you have an idea about the rules of the road for Illinois. I say that jokingly, but if you done drove on Chicago streets in the last decade, that is a fleeting skill.
Yes.
Oh my God. It's like, if I could lose road rage, I would probably be right under Gandhi, because it is miraculous, the idiocy that I see on the streets.
Yes, nobody knows to pull to the right. They pull
to the
which way they go.
That's a podcast by itself.
You know what's a podcast here in Chicago by itself? And I asked my buddy who's from Chicago and he's been driving here his whole life. I'm like, do y'all know you're supposed to move to the right for sirens and lights? Do you know you're supposed to move to the right for a car that pulls up on the left lane is the passing lane?
That's correct.
Nah, what's that? I said, what? You ain't learned that in driving school? Nah, I ain't never heard of that.
That is driving 101.
That's one of the people I invited here. I wish they were here to defend themselves.
Driving 101. It's probably best that he's not here, because that would be a problem.
But that's the thing, that it's like when you get on this expressway and I do a lot of driving and I drive back home, and the cars with the license plate from Illinois never get over. They just sit in that left lane and call it a day, and like it's just that's their God-given right to be in this left lane.
The absolute worst for me are professional drivers, quote unquote, 18-wheel drivers, big trucks, cabs that don't follow the rule. You are actually in a profession that require you to know these basic rules of the road. I actually had an 18-wheeler pull to the left.
Yeah.
And that freaked me out to the point where I was going to a steal, and if it wasn't a steal, I would have probably stopped.
And gave him some education.
And it would have been a whole Reginald Denny flashback from the LA riots.
Yeah, no,
it was
don't.
Bad. I know, right?
We do not need that. But that's the one thing. Those are the ones that are the best drivers. When I'm doing those long road trips, those trucks do what they're supposed to do. They get over. They stay, and they every once in a while, because we are human at the same time.
On the highway, I would agree. As far as the local drivers,
that's a different story.
It's a different story.
I believe you. It's a lot of different things we do here. I'm gonna embarrass myself a bit. I just came off of a trip from a whole different state, and it was a long line to get in, and I said, well, somebody will let me in. Somebody let me in. Do you know the state he's pulled up behind me? He said, you pulled in front of that car, illegal lane change, pull over right now. He couldn't even get it out his mouth fast enough. And so he pulled me over, he talked to me, he counseled me, he did everything but give me the ticket. I apologized, and he said, okay, you didn't know. I see your license is from another state. He was very gracious. I should have got his name and number to shout him out. But thank you to the
officer. Appreciate it, Blue.
Right. Appreciate it. And at the same time, I was in the wrong, clearly. But that's something we do here on the regular. So a lot of times, you don't know what you don't know.
And I agree. If you go out of state, I lived in California for 2 years, and if I have a parking lot in Chicago that I have to make a left turn over the yellow lines, it's no big deal. Mm-hmm. You just turn left. As if it's a felony in California, which I did.
You can't turn left?
Not over the yellow lines. You can go to the end and do a U-turn.
So they'd rather you do a U-turn.
State law. So again, it all depends on where you are.
I'm with that.
But I'm talking about the idiots that live here with Illinois license and still don't follow our rule. Now, maybe they from some of your, okay, let's give them benefit of the doubt. You from Alaska. Okay. You just got your license. Whatever. Yeah. But yeah, we know better than that too.
Okay.
So let me get back to the question. Again, you took me off on a tangent because I can't stand bad drivers.
Okay. What would you...
Become a good driver.
Yes.
I took that for granted that I was actually a driver on the truck, and how easy it was for me to transition from the truck to the engine. Get familiar with the apparatus, specifically the engine is different from driving a truck. It's very different. That 500 gallons, it moves around.
It does move different.
There's no baffles in there, so when it goes left to right, it's moving that rig. So it does make a difference. And other than that, just stay in the books.
Think of driving with a G.
My God.
It's that much different.
Yeah.
Like that department I was talking about before. We had 5 and we had a G. And then we had a truck that had 2. That didn't really do anything. But that 500 and that 1,000 gallons.
You had a tanker?
Nope, it wasn't a tanker. It was just a engine with 1,000 gallons. We didn't depend a lot on mutual aid at the time. And a little too much machismo. In fact, I have to speak on this to a few podcasts ago. The former chief of that department, he was up here visiting with me, and he was on the podcast. And we were talking about kind of how some of the crazy things that we did that aren't necessarily the things that you want to do. It's like God protects babies and fools, and ain't none of us saying wah. So
that's right.
We just a bunch of idiots.
The term I heard was accidentally successful.
There we go. What are some of the best resources that have helped you along the way?
Oh my God, mentorship. Those that did it before me. I'm real big on that.
Anybody you want to shout out in particular?
My guy from Truck 24 when I first got on the job. Lieutenant Hicks. He retired on me way too soon. Hardy knows, even though I gave you all different type of hell when I was there. I appreciate what you taught me. Tony Hart's, who's lieutenant now on Truck 34. Used to be Tower 34. But
you throwing them out there like that?
Hey man, I didn't do it. You got to blame the city. I'm just saying.
You bringing it up like that's a sore subject.
I'm just calling it what it is.
We don't like to talk about.
Okay, I don't call
Actually,
Willis.
We do like to talk about sore subjects. So yes,
I don't call Willis Tower Willis Tower. I still call it Sears Tower. So let me go back.
Well, that's the
Tower
whole city.
34.
That's the whole city.
Tower 34. The lieutenant on the third shift, Tony Hart. Shout out to Tony Hart.
Now, hold on, real quick. You want us to evolve and drive in, but you still gonna call that Sears Tower after the Willis family paid all that money?
I know, right? It's hard, man. It's hard. It seems.
I'm just saying.
That's a sore spot to me too. Too many companies are taking over landmarks and sticking their names on it. No, that's another story.
That's another story for another time. But your former company is now the Tower.
FedEx?
No. Truck 24.
Truck 24.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I still like Truck 24. Okay. Tower 24, I'm sure it has its advantages. I never had a chance to see it. I was gone by then. Mm-hmm. But no, it was something special about Truck 24. At the end of the day, like I say,
because it was the only single.
It was the only single truck house in the entire city.
That was pretty dope.
So that was extremely dope, and we got that work. As far as second truck up to anything, we did the job. I've seen some questionable. I was about to go a lot more aggressive on that questionable second truck work. Cause definitely the second truck is you got to give a second means of egress to them guys on the roof.
There you go.
And if that don't happen, I'm gonna say there should be a conversation at the end of that incident, no matter what.
I've had a lot of those conversations.
So and I just leave it at that. But it's way too frequently that we have our mindset on being first, and when that's not the case, we have a problem switching to that second position, and then we got to do better.
I only feel like I haven't been everywhere, so I can't speak for everybody, but I only feel like there's certain companies that do that. So
I can agree.
We won't get into that.
Right.
There was something that I wanted to say about. I lost the thought. We were talking about the difference between towers and trucks and engines and all the other stuff. That's okay. It'll come back to me along the way. But did you get to shout out everybody you wanted to shout out?
Yeah, I don't think I left out nobody. Tony Paston, who's actually in the academy getting made right now.
Okay.
He was my cook, but he was a go-getter when the bell rang and he had fire behind it. So that was awesome, man. And even the guy that came after me.
I don't remember what it was now.
Teddy Bowden, Rob Wilson, Rob Williams, Chase, all you guys, y'all made Truck 24 fun for me, period.
That's what's up. I was going to say I never got a chance to work on the truck while I was I still am a firefighter. But
Squad guy.
Sorry. I never got a chance to work on there. But I did get the opportunity to work on Ambo 29. And at the same time, the guys knew I was a firefighter, and they showed me everything on the truck. That was one of the new trucks at the time. They like I said, they showed me everything.
Yeah.
They were real nice guys. They let me climb up to the roof, play with it, put it up, put the outriggers out. They let me do everything. And
so if it was new, that mean it was,
and I was
a
on the
little bit
shift
after I got there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it was a little bit after I got there.
Yeah.
Because they had a old E1 when I first got there. And then
it was the new rig, and they was out playing with it, and they let me play with it too.
So ironically, the rig that I had at my house that I came out the academy that I went to, which was Truck 59, they had the same rig brought to Truck 24. So I became the instant expert in it.
On that rig.
Yeah.
That rig stinks.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I agree, but I got so solid at it.
While we here, that rig is not what's up. So.
It's not friendly, no.
Who are 3 people, you only get 3.
Okay.
Who have been the most influential to you in your career?
Most influential. On the job?
Yes.
on the job. Oh wow, now that's hard. That's real hard. I will honestly say that's hard. Oh my God.
Now don't keep saying that's hard, because I pitch my show as one that's like a layup. And then, I mean, people gonna be listening.
No,
like, Sev on there asking the hard questions.
It's hard because it's just three people, man,
it's
and it's
jokes.
like
it's hard to narrow it down to just three people when you have so many. When you're on a job like this, these questions aren't for that. These questions are for somebody else. But the thing about it is, we have so many people that help us out along the way and push us and guide us and everything else that it's hard to narrow it down.
I will honestly say, looking back at it now, it's actually a very good question. Looking back at it now, I was highly influenced when I was in the academy.
Okay.
And Jamar Sullivan, he would definitely be one.
Yeah.
Shout out to, I don't even know what his position is. I don't know how many bugles he got crossed up at this particular point, but he's the exempt rank, high official, hazmat dude, and he's one of the most intelligent guys that I probably ran across anywhere.
Me too.
You know, and it's amazing. Curtis Hudson, another dude that just showed me no matter what rank you are, you can always use what you know to give back to the. I've heard a saying that you don't have to be a 10 to teach a 2. And what that means is if you're a new guy, you're a 2 and you should accept being a 2. If there's a area that you're not familiar with, you're a 2 in that. I can be a 5 in that area and I can teach a 2 and bring you to my level. And me teaching you might actually bring me to a 6 or 7 because I'm learning that as I'm teaching. And I actually realized there were so many guys that were just still firefighters that was giving back and bringing people up. And I kind of followed that role. So I would definitely say Curtis Hudson because he was my EMS director when I first came down there. Mm-hmm. Jamar Sullivan, I didn't meet him till I got to the fire side. And then, oh my God, who would I give the third one to? I would give it to, I don't want to do this. I don't want to leave nobody out. I hope don't nobody hear this.
Oh, hold on. No.
I hope the people that I left out don't hear this. Okay, so I would say Ray Colors. Ray Colors was a very big influence to me too. Okay. Because he actually took the time to sit and talk to me and teach me a lot of stuff in regards to the fire service, and kind of give me a heads up on what I could expect, the roadblocks and the obstacles I was gonna have to overcome to do what I wanted to do.
That's an outstanding list. I don't think anybody can be mad at you for picking those three people,
good
especially
job.
On the spot. It's not like I gave you time to study or anything.
Right.
So I think you're fine.
Cool.
What's one common myth about your profession as an engineer?
As an engineer, okay.
That you want to debunk?
That I want to debunk? That it's easy. Okay. It's definitely not easy. It gets easier if you actually pick a house, but as a reliever, it's brutal when you're getting thrown from house to house and have to learn different.
I can see that.
That's a very different thing.
That's why I wanted all you guys. That was my money question, because I wanted to ask all the guys that question right there. So
it's definitely not easy. So as a reliever is extremely difficult because again, you don't know where you're going to be from day to day. The buck stops with you. When it comes to getting water to those guys on the inside, you have to be solid. In Chicago, it's challenging because we got rigs that's older than some of the people that's on that's a whole nother podcast.
Conversation too.
So that's the issue within itself. You got different personalities when it comes to the rig. Now, I've been extremely fortunate, even though I'm in the 5th district, there's a lot of A-type personalities in the 5th district, but they allow me to take ownership of the rig. So I say, hey, this is my rig for today. My hiding guide, this is what I want from them, and normally I have no issues. And again, it's been so seldom I don't even want to even bring it up. But I've had a couple people say, this is what I'm going to do. and I have to make adjustments to that. But at the same time, I will have a conversation after the fact and let them know, hey, I'm in total disagreement with your tactics for whatever the reason is, because it just, you have to take ownership of that rig as an engineer. Officer has responsibility of the company, but that rig from A to B and the water going from that engine into the building, into the building, that's all you. That's all you. So the buck stops with you. You may have an officer that don't know how to pump, so he can't really tell you. He can't help you. May not be familiar with the rig. There's a lot of stuff going on. God forbid you're a reliever and he's a reliever. You don't know where you're going. He don't know. It's a lot of challenges when it comes to being an engineer. And that first 10 minutes of the fire, we're working, like running around, connecting hoses, pulling 4 inches. You know, I never leave my hydrant guy out on a limb. If you going 200 feet away from my rig, you best believe I'm humping hose with you, period. You know, because my most important thing is, if my guy's in the fire, you got to have water. Right. Then you're responsible for communication. You got to let these guys know, hey, I do not have a positive source. Don't go too far in, or hey, go and fight that dragon because we got water. Okay. So
now, this is the last one I'm gonna hit you with.
Okay.
What do you wish you would have known that you didn't know going in?
Engineer.
That's just engineer today.
What I wish I would have known, I would say, oh no, I was, again, with the mentors that I had, I was pretty well versed when it came to engineering. So, and I say that for this reason. My goal when I exited the academy was to become an engineer. Okay. Like, literally, I knew that I was going to do that. Okay. So even the first house that I was at, they did 4-man watches, which was, you know, not necessarily common. So they did 4-man watches, and I would take the first 2 every night. No, I take that back. I took the last 2, and that allowed me to study. So I would literally study every workday, the last 2 watches of the night, because I knew I wanted to do that. And I always talked to my engineer that was at that particular house. Shout out to John King, who's now retired. And one of my classmates from high school, he was an engineer that turned into a lieutenant. He's a captain now, captain of Engine 72. Shout out to Gary Brooks. And between them 2 guys, Darrell Moore, oh man, it was just a bunch of engineers that really, really helped me. Barry Mitchell. It was a lot of guys that really got me. I was pretty well versed. So I really, no surprises thus far.
Okay. Well, yeah. That's what's up. What we were going to do, going to switch up a little bit. Okay. This episode and everything that you said was so good and so poignant. We're going to leave this as a solo. We're just going to talk straight about all your engineering and all that other good stuff. We're going to save that other conversation for a whole
The entrepreneurial stuff.
The entrepreneurial stuff.
That go on for days.
For a whole another episode. So
fair enough.
I feel I knew you was going to bring it, but you did such a great job in answering everything that this is an episode within itself.
I'll take it.
I don't want to take away from it by putting something else on top of it.
I'll take it.
So
what I would say real quick is there is an engineer exam that is definitely being brought up. The conversation is out there. Start looking over those orders. There's actually an entire new engineer's guide manual that's out there now. Get familiar with it if you're interested in actually making that move. Don't do it for money. I can definitely tell you that. It's if you like the position, if you like the house that you're in, it's going to be hard for you to make that type of transition. The last thing you want to do is go from getting up in the morning looking forward going to work every third day to it feeling like some type of task or drudgery. I would definitely say really, really think about it. If that's part of your career path, do it. If If you're not 100% sold on it, you know, again, my transition was my problem. I honestly fell in love with being at Truck 24, and then the transition over to being an engineer wasn't that I didn't like the job, is I missed my guys. So that was the hard part for me. But now I'm all in, and I'm still relieving. I'm relieving by choice. I could easily get a house. I have enough time to get a house if I want to. I like relieving because I get to see everybody. Everybody say, you put in for anything? Nope. Why you ain't put in for nothing? Because I wouldn't be able to see you if I put in. You know, so that it pretty much breaks down that way. Don't do it for money. Start studying now. Don't wait till the last minute. Learn the math. It's not that hard. It's nothing but addition and very little multiplication. There's no calculus in it. And at most, they're going to have about 10 to 15 questions on the test that's even math related. So that's it.
That's it. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on and discussing all those topics with us. And if you would like to know more about taking a test even to come on to be a Chicago firefighter, please contact us. We have multiple ways for you to get at us here at Department 3C. We have a website, email address, info@department3c.com. I can give you some information there. You can follow us on all social media platforms at Department 3C. And we look forward to helping you out any way we can with your transition to this great career.
Yes.
And then some years down the road, you can even be an engineer if you want to as well. So,
all right. Become part of the family.
Exactly. Thanks for speaking with us. And with that being said, we'll get out of here. Be good. Bye.
This has been a Fire and Iron Media production. You have something to say, people want to listen.